The inputs or reactants of photosynthesis are carbon dioxide and water. The outputs or the products are glucose and oxygen. Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplasts of plant cells and cells of other photosynthetic organisms. The chloroplast has an inner membrane and an outer membrane, and inside are compartments called thylakoids. The space between the thylakoids and the chloroplast membranes is called the stroma. Thylakoids contain chlorophyll, which is the pigment in plants that reflect the light spectrum and make plants appear green. In order for photosynthesis to occur, carbon dioxide must enter the plant through the stomata, which are tiny pores in a plant's leaf. It also needs water from the plant's roots and energy from the sun. The sun energy is converted into chemical energy in forms of NADPH and ATP. Chemical energy is converted into molecules that can be turned into glucose. The energy is stored to power the light-independent stage of photosynthesis. In the Calvin cycle, the light-independent stage, carbon fixation turns the energy from the ATP and NADPH into three simple sugar molecules called G3P, which can later be turned into glucose. Autotrophs are organisms that are able to create their own energy. Most perform photosynthesis. Organisms that perform photosynthesis are plants, algae, and cyanobacteria. Photosynthesis is essential for life because of many reasons. It recycles carbon throughout the atmosphere as a part of the carbon cycle. Photosynthesis is also the main source of energy for most plants and trees. Oxygen, the output of photosynthesis, is essential for all living organisms.
Cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is a process in which cells break down the glucose into functional energy. Its equation is 1 glucose, 6 oxygen, gets converted into 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water, and ATP. All organisms use cellular respiration, and without its process, organisms cannot produce their necessary energy to survive. Cellular respiration is an aerobic process, which means it requires oxygen. And this happens in the mitochondria that is located in the cell's cytoplasm. Cellular respiration can be divided into 4 steps: glycolysis, pyruvate decarboxylation, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain.
Lactic acid is a waste product of fermentation, which is what makes your muscles sore. Lactic acid fermentation occurs when you can't take in enough oxygen, so your body has to anaerobically produce ATP. Lactic acid fermentation occurs in your muscle cells and is a type of anaerobic respiration. Humans frequently display lactic acid fermentation. Steps: glycolysis occurs but can't perform normally, so more electrons regenerate to carry the electrons to the pyruvate. Afterwards, the glycolysis can keep producing a steady supply of NAD+. The inputs are pyruvate and electron carriers, and the outputs are lactic acid and electron carriers.
Alcoholic fermentation occurs when cells need to create ATP but have no oxygen, and so they create ATP anaerobically in cytoplasm. But unlike lactic acid fermentation, alcoholic fermentation only occurs in organisms such as yeast and some bacteria. Alcoholic fermentation also makes beer, wine, and bread. First, glycolysis produces 2 ATP, 2 pyruvate, and then 2 NADH. Then the 2 pyruvate produces 2 carbon dioxide molecules and 2 ethynyl alcohol molecules. Lastly, using a byproduct of the pyruvate, the 2 NADH molecules are turned into 2 NAD+, so that the glycolysis can continue its cycle. The chemical equation to alcoholic fermentation is glucose produces ethynyl alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy.